ranging from 27,000 volts to transformers. So if you have feeder 1, feeder 2, okay, feeder 1 has, let's say, 100 transformers. Feeder 2 has 150 transformers, 27,000 volts feeding to each one. Then as the electricity goes to the transformer, it steps it down to 12208 into a grid system we call the secondary. Now the secondary feeds the services to the buildings. So if feeder A opens auto, faults, then feeder 2 supplies the transformers and supplies the grid secondary, therefore keeping the power going to the customers in that particular grid system. So everything is isolated from one network to another. So if you have a problem at the Bensonhurst substation, it's not going to take out the entire borough of Brooklyn. That's the basic concept.
How did New Yorkers react to the blackout?
Okay, I remember the blackout in '65, and it was a night when it was a full moon, and people were generally, they reacted to it, well, oh my goodness, this is something novel. People helped one another, people helped with transportation, candles were lit. People basically reacted well. '77 blackout, that didn't happen. Parts of the borough, Brooklyn, they tore up. One area that I look at, Broadway, and down Broadway, let's say from Eastern Parkway all the way to the Williamsburg Bridge Plaza. The looting and the rioting, that area never, I don't believe, recovered from the '77 blackout. People just went off. And I think it hurt the city, and of course they looked at Con Ed and said, you're to blame for this. People sued. When there's a blackout, when a customer has a problem, they say send a claim in to the company, and they'll address certain amounts of food spoilage and that kind of thing. 2 summers ago we had the Long Island City problem when their feeders went out, and it's a call when this is happening, when something like this happens, let's say the Long Island City incident, it's a call that the control center personnel have to make. When they see something's going on and they have these big boards at the control center and they see something happening, they have a few seconds to make a decision as to should we shut down the network, should we keep it going, trying to save it, and if you try to keep it going, then you have the chance of perhaps burning up tons of cable and ruining transformers in the ground and in the substations and in the generating stations. And that's going to take a longer period of time to recoup and rebuild that system to get the people back on. And that's perhaps one of the things that happened with Long Island City. So 65 blackout, people dealt with it. 77, the city had a difficult time.
Do you think this reflected directly in the nature, like the status of the economy? Because during the '65, I don't think the economy was as bad as it was during the '77.
I don't think it was so much the economy from '65 to '77. I think again that it had more to do with culture again changing, people's attitudes changing. It may have involved also the diversity of people that were, this city continually changes with people. You've heard the phrases about we're the melting pot, and the stability of perhaps certain geographical locations changed, and people just went off. And if they felt, whoa, it's out there for me to get, I'm going for it. And that's what happened in '77.
Do you think that the blackout of 1977 contributed to racial turbulence in the city?
Not really. Um, Perhaps one of the things that we have to realize and be aware of is that many of the businesses, many of the people who owned the businesses lived elsewhere. And then the people that formerly or previously supported those stores lived right there in the community. And they saw it as an opportunity to get something for nothing, unfortunately. And I don't know. I don't think it really contributed to the racial tensions. I think there were other issues that contributed to the racial tensions of the city. I would have to lean more towards some of the crimes that have been committed. Those kinds of things, I think, added to the racial tensions. One of the things I think about Crown Heights, the Crown Heights, after Mayor Dinkins was elected, and wow, Gavin Cato was hit by a car. We know the story. And then it was the Jewish folks and the black folks, and this clash of tension. And shortly after that, I made a trip to Israel, and was over there for 14 days. And of all people, who do I meet on the trip? With walking around the ruins of Jericho, and I meet Rush Limbaugh. And he begins to tell me about, oh, did you know, here I am in Israel, thousands of miles away from New York City, and he makes a statement to me that, oh, the decision came out about Mayor Dinkins concerning the Crown Heights riots, which in turn dealt with Gavin Cato and the Jewish young man that was, stabbed and killed. And then the fact that we have to also understand the issue that when he went to the hospital, whether or not the medical folks determined that he had been stabbed, that may have been missed. So it was a whole lot of issues. So I don't think it was the blackouts that did that. I think it was the other things that involved the police against minority groups. Those kinds of things added to the racial tensions.
During the Ford administration, the New York City government hoped for a federal bailout. President Ford refused, and the Daily News highlighted basically Drop Dead New York, summarizing Ford's stance on the issue. What
Yes,
was
sir.
your reaction to it?
My reaction was that, Mr. Ford, you are wrong. And you have no sense of responsibility of what New York City contributes to the overall economy of this nation. I'm proud of New York City. I was born in New York City, and I know what I pay in taxes. And for President Ford to make that kind of statement, and then of course the Daily News to play it up, it kind of hurt you. It made you feel bad because New Yorkers count too, and you're trying to do a job. You're trying to promote peace and harmony in this community, and I remember Mayor Bean, and then of course Koch. Even remember Mayor Lindsay, and those kinds of things. It's an incredible feat to try to run a city such as New York, and then of course that we're going to have some problems fiscally, and then for the federal government